All right, y'all, we got another House bill for Georgia. This is for my Georgia people. We have another House bill that just passed, and this is actually going to be interesting because we are banning cell phones in the school. Let's see what information that we got in regards to that. As always, if you guys like this type of content, go ahead and like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Let's just see what we're doing out here in Georgia.
Yeah, House Bill 1009 now headed to Governor Kemp's desk for his signature after passing out of the Senate by unanimous vote. All of the senators voting to approve this legislation this morning. Now, what this bill does is, if it is signed by the governor, it will ban cell phone use in Georgia public high schools. Now, this comes after we saw similar legislation passed last year for K through 8, students in grades K through 8. And so if the governor does sign this bill into law,
This was last year, K through 8? Hold on, I didn't know that. It expands the existing phone bill to younger students, now include high school. I did not know. Oh, I didn't know that. Current status as of now, passed in Georgia House with strong support, passed with the Senate. It's very close to final approval. Very likely, if signed, it would extend K to 8 restrictions to high school and start as early as 2026-2027 school year. Yo, I need to, I actually need to hit up my teachers and see if this is like legit. I didn't know they were doing that already, bro. We already looking into a brighter future. That's just me personally. That's just how I feel. We are already looking into a brighter future, but let's just go ahead and keep going.
Means that as early as perhaps next fall, we could see a ban on all cell phone use for public high school students. Now, lawmakers saying that this is needed because students need to focus and that these phones are a distraction. Also, there's concern for students' well-being, saying that sometimes this cell phone use can impact students' mental health. And so they just say, you know, instead of kids focusing on texts from other students and social media, things of that nature, it's time to put these phones away so that students can once again simply focus on that daily classroom instruction without that distraction. We talked to one of the lawmakers who sponsored this legislation, and here's what he had to tell us today.
Today is a great day for Georgia. It's a great day for Georgia's students, teachers, and families. A very popular bill passed on a bipartisan basis, the cell phone free bill, going cell phone free in our high school classrooms. I'll tell you, incredibly life-changing, as this is going to help the mental health of our students. It's going to help our students' grades. It's going to help their test scores, and it's going to make our schools safer. There's going to be fewer fights, fewer discipline. This is a great win for our students and our classrooms. As much as Georgia invests in education, we are going to see that return on investment go even higher thanks to removing cell phones from our schools so that our children can learn and our teachers can teach.
So while senators did vote unanimously to pass this legislation, there was an amendment that failed that was brought up by one lawmaker, Senator Rationale. He's a former educator, a former school principal. Now, he did push for an amendment to this bill that would have allowed students to use their phone during breaks, during lunch periods, because he argued unsuccessfully that high school students, of course, they are at another level as compared to, say, K through 8, and that they may have different responsibilities, work responsibilities, some who have children, just different things to where they may need to have more access to their phones than, say, students in grades K through 8. But that effort did fail. That amendment was voted down, and so the bill does pass where public high school students, starting perhaps this fall, will no longer have access to their phones on campus. They say from bell to bell, but what it means really is from the start of the school day to the end of the school day, they would be required to put those phones up, Tom.
So, Isn't that bell to bell? You can imagine this is sparking debate. We're just watching on at least one of our social media platforms, TikTok, people weighing in. Everything from good, no more cell phones. Maybe they're going to start focusing on school. So one person in support,
maybe they'll pass the
another
test.
person saying, my child will still have her phone in school. y'all banning everything that's not important, okay? So a lot of parents are concerned about not being able to communicate with their students when in school, which is something I'm sure legislators considered when this bill was moving through the State House. But any talk of reconciling sort of the feelings of parents on both sides here?
Well, the lawmakers that we heard from today say that during the various committee hearings that most of the parents and students, teachers they heard from, they said that over 90% were in favor of this legislation. As to those who are opposed to it,
Where do they get these parents and students from? I'm curious. And again, this isn't a race situation, but I'm looking at things objectively based off of the amount of time that especially those in the lower income, which normally in Georgia are those of the Hispanic and African American environment, I find it very hard to believe that the students would be okay with not having their phones. I find it hard to believe, but I mean, I could be wrong. I've been out the school system for a couple of years, so maybe things have changed. I don't know.
lawmakers said time and time again, look, we were all students once, the day before cell phones, and we managed. We didn't have phones during the day, and we
Absolutely
did
right.
just fine. But you do get some pushback from parents and also from some students who say, look, it's different times. We did talk this afternoon, for instance, to some students and families whose students attended Appalachia High School who lived through that, horrific day when a gunman opened fire there on campus, a student, and killed students and teachers there. And they noted that you had a circumstance situation where some of the first calls that came to 911 that were made to 911 were made by students. And also you had students who said, look, we were able to call our parents, let them know what was going on, that something was happening on campus, or even say students who had parents who were at the school for some reason, perhaps working there at the school or had siblings at the school. They didn't know where they were. They, of course, are concerned. There's just so much going on. And they said having that phone was really a lifeline for them. On the other end, we had lawmakers who said, they should be listening to the teachers, the educators, the instructors when there's an emergency like that, that you have adults who are in control of the situation, who need to have all of the students' attention, and that they are responsible for contacting parents and the like to let them know, if something like that's occurring. So strong arguments on both sides, but it does seem that the overwhelming mood here, at least at the Capitol, and what lawmakers are saying they're hearing from teachers is that we've got to get control of these classrooms, and in doing so, a large part of that is getting these students to put those phones up so they can focus on what's being taught in class.
Okay. So, thoughts, interesting thoughts. They mention a couple of things that I understand. They mention some other things that I do understand, but I just don't know, like the level of the weight. Not even the level of the weight, because you kind of can't put a weight on a student's life. But it's just a tough thing to really navigate with. So here's kind of my mindset. And it's interesting because, and this is just a little segue from my initial thought, but I'm pretty sure that it was Australia that banned social media for minors. Was it Australia? Let's see. So Australia is having strict restrictions on social media platforms. The minimum age has to be 16 for Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. That's what they're doing there. I think we definitely need to, and actually the question does now become at that point, how do you monitor that? Because these are cellular devices and there's always a way around. There's the web-based versions for TikTok and Instagram. You'd have to do a lot of like extra stuff on these phones in order to, and stuff that can be done, but stuff that a lot of parents don't understand how to do to really enforce. So I don't know. And the kids are always gonna find some stupid way to do it, whether they use their parents' account or whatever the case is. They're always gonna find some stupid way. They do. But for this, there really is. It's kind of hard to do if the teachers and the staff and the superintendent are fully behind this situation, to where they have to make sure that these kids do not have these cell phones during school. The second that they see the phone, it needs to be taken. And if the student doesn't comply, well, they're going to be sent to the principal's office, assistant principal's office, and they're going to get a call from home or something like that. They're going to get suspension, whatever the case may be, for not complying. Is this suspension a little bit much? I say we'll start with lunch detention. Let's go with lunch detention at first, because lunch detention was hell for me when I was in high school. And I was in that bad boy for 3 months. Boy, my goodness. But anyways, that's besides the point. So back to the cell phone bans. Yeah. So Australia was doing the social media, but America, or at least here in Georgia. And I think they probably have this as well in New York. I think. I'm not going to check. But essentially this, I would have expected this more so for the lower grades from K through 8. That part makes sense, I think, because once we do get to high school, we have a better understanding of technology. And the problem isn't just the phones. I think it's technology as a whole, because even then, when in Gwinnett County students have all their laptops, they're still able to do whatever it is that they were doing beforehand just on a laptop, and they're doing it with Google Messenger and what have you. They'd have to do some major enforcing on the school technology in order to keep this enforcement of it's really just phones, not really like technology platforms and whatnot. At the end of the day, for me personally, I feel like this is a good move. Why? Because social media is the devil in disguise. Yes, there are some perks when it comes to social media, but honestly, it's becoming so much of an issue that it's literally drifting people apart. It's causing majority of these issues that we have, majority of dramas that's going on, majority of these shootings that's been taking place. It's because of the access to social media. That's what I believe. Because yes, we had shootings back in the day, but it wasn't nearly as high as it is now. It's not. Yes, we had fights in schools back in the day, but it's not nearly as high as it is right now. Yes, we had individuals that weren't doing that hot and that had poor test scores, but it is nowhere near as high as it is now. I believe that all of these correlate with social media, and I feel like it needs to stop in the grade level, because these kids are not retaining anything. They are not smart. They're everything is just decreasing because they're stuck on these damn phones. And I'm tired of it, and they need to just get off of it. When I was in school, we had phones. All we could really do was text, unless you had a razor. And even then, there really wasn't much that you could do. There was no social media to this extent. So we weren't sitting here on our phones literally the whole day. If we were on the phones, we were messaging other people in the school. There wasn't no social media platforms getting on Facebook. MySpace on the phone. But it wasn't social media content like we have now with the TikToks, the Instagrams, and the YouTube feeds and stuff like that, where it's just literally just doom scrolling. Seeing the stupid stuff that people are doing, seeing the stupid stuff that people are saying, and internalizing the ridiculousness that people are putting out there into the world. This is what students do not need during the school day. They need to go to school. They need to learn. None of this socialism, communism crap that they're trying to teach in schools nowadays. They need to teach the subjects and call it a day. And that is it. Like, seriously, that's what they need to do. They need to graduate and then move forward. Do I think we need to switch up some curriculums and have some more, world ready type classes for when they actually do graduate? Yeah, of course, we can do that. for certain. And maybe, if anything, have sections of these more prevalent in the respected subject, like accounting, finance, in math class type thing. Do a semester in regards to that, and not just all of these pointless A equals MC squared that, once again, we're probably never going to use. Make it life reflecting for when they graduate, and get rid of these phones. But that's my perspective. I know people are going to have some pushbacks, like they said, in regards to, all the school shootings, and in high school, they have more events and work and stuff that they need to be a part of. I don't know. Maybe you can get your phone when you're a junior or a senior, because that's more than likely when you're working, when you're heavy in sports and stuff like that. And your parents probably should know exactly where you are. That's what I think. But y'all let me know in the comment section what y'all think. And I actually definitely need to hit up my teachers from my old school and see if they actually really implemented it. And the schools, they are not having any cellular devices in the classrooms, because that's a game changer if they really are implementing this. But there's actually another interesting video, because they're coming up with a new Gwinnett County superintendent, but it seems like there may be some issues going on. I got another video that I need to watch, and we'll watch that together and see what's going down. I'm gonna catch you on the next one. Take it easy. Peace.